Hey everybody, welcome to FunnySad with your hosts Travis Nelson and
Vanessa Don. We're back.
And Vanessa. Yeah, we're back. We're doing this on Zoom now. We're getting better with every episode. And we have a very good friend, very funny comedian from the Seattle area. Emmett Montgomery is on the show. What's up, Emmett?
Hello.
Excited to have you on the show, Emmett.
Yes, wonderful.
So this show we pick out our friends' tweets and we choose them on whether they're funny, sad, evocative, interesting, and we try to delve a little deeper and learn more about ourselves.
Yeah, like, where was your head at when you tweeted that?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah. And so, understandably, I'm very excited to have you on the show, Emmett, because
I'm kind of a midnight tweeter, so
yeah,
perfect.
Your Twitter is like ephemerally beautiful, I would say.
Right?
It's not happy. It's sad in a way that's like almost pleasing, you know. It rewards your mind with. We'll get into it. Do you want to do the first tweet?
I think there's some yuck-em-ups there. You
No.
know?
Oh,
there's funny ones. There's
sure.
funny ones.
But there was a couple we had to scroll through. Like, we can't use that. All right, I'll hit the first one. There's a lovely elderly woman who has been dumping out a basket of bread bits for the birds every afternoon around the same time I feed the crows, and my peanuts cannot compete with her carbs. She is my greatest enemy. This is my first turf war, and I could use advice. First, I think this is pretty funny that this is your first turf. Like, it's like about feeding birds.
Okay, so it's a big deal. So I don't have a lot of beef with people. You know, I try to be nice, but so when the pandemic started, I started feeding the crows every single day at the same time because I heard that they can recognize faces and they kind of developed this thing. And I bought these huge bags of roasted, unsalted peanuts, and I was starting to develop relationships with these crows. I would get sometimes dozens and certain behaviors, and it was kind of this, I call it crow church, and it was this beautiful thing. And then this woman, because I live above a bakery, you know, it was always kind of,
so it was like good bread.
Well, there was that, but no, this elderly woman would come out with a basket and like it just like crusts and everything and so much and all the pigeons, and they're not supposed to eat that stuff. Like berries, protein, stuff like that is good. It actually makes the crows slow, and especially when they are forming eggs and stuff, you want the nutrients. And I'm pretty carb free now because I'm trying to stay out of the pre-diabetes range. So there she is, just throwing bread around. And here I am. Plus, you got to work. You got to open the peanuts. It was a whole process. And if it got really good, it was like bubble wrap. I would just sit there in the middle of a circle of birds, just hearing like... And this woman, she stole that from me. And to make matters worse, she would feed the birds and then she would pick up the part. And so she's just this awful saint. Just, yeah.
Stealing your shine.
And she did come and talk to me. Because we were kind of, you know, we sort of checked, and she's like, oh, she's like peanuts, right? And I said, yeah. And she's like, well, what about the pigeons? Because the pigeons can't get, you know, so in her mind, I'm a monster. Because I'm only into the crows. I'm some sort of specious, you know, sort of.
Pigeons can't eat peanuts?
Well, they can. So crows actually have the intellect and the hardware, their beaks to open it up. The little idiot stub-nosed pigeons are not opening those.
What's kind of like beautiful about this is two monsters found each other, because she sees you as a monster, you see her as a monster.
Yeah.
It's,
but so
Right.
we're rivals.
Yeah.
I feel like y'all could join forces though. Like she feeds a pigeon.
No, because she's doing it wrong. I think it really is. It's a clash of faiths.
I'm on Emmett's side on this. You got to pick a side. You got to.
Yeah, we both have belief system. This is pro-choice, pro-life. This is, we're really talking about where does life begin, and for me, it's crows. And she's like, but pigeons have feet, so.
Have you seen the documentary My Octopus Teacher?
I'm holding off for when I want to cry in the middle of the night because I hear it's really beautiful and.
You would love it, and you can make a sequel called My Crow Educators.
My Crow Army.
Professor.
My Crow Professor Emeritus.
Yeah.
Yes. And then, that lady will be like the Carol Baskin of your...
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? It is sort of that. I mean, and we're both right in our heads, and,
You're going to take her down in what's going to go down in history as one of Seattle's greatest crow d'états.
Well, she's older than me. She's going to die first. So,
okay.
Long con.
Wink.
You got to play the long game. Play the long game.
I feel you, especially if she's eating all that bread.
Yeah. That bread's not going to help.
It's not going to help at all.
All right, I got a tweet, Emmett, I wanted to bring up. I have been avoiding getting a beard trim because of the danger hole that lives in the middle of it, and I don't trust my dumb hands, but I am getting tired of having to take a shower every time I eat soup. Please advise.
This was a legitimate cry for help.
Yeah, you got the beard trim, so it worked out.
Right?
Yeah. Now it's off my lips and everything. And I recently I was getting ready to headline this benefit for Crisis Connection, the Suicide Hotline Plus. And it was a big deal. They were paying me money. It was in studio. It was so cool to actually do standing up, because it was broadcast out there, even if it was just 8 people in the room.
Hey,
socially distanced.
Yeah,
that's better than no people.
Oh yeah. Well, and honestly, everyone here has done shows where 8 people was the best you're gonna get. So there we go.
Right.
So
yeah, the comedy underground was open at one point, so we all.
Yeah.
I'll never.
You just
8 people again.
Yeah, you just love who's in front of you. But I found too that when you're framing a question like this, that if you just ask hey, where should I do that? People will you'll get unhelpful advice, or have you tried looking, everything you've obviously done. But if you kind of frame it in an interesting way, yeah, you'll get the jokes and everything. But at least that will be somewhat entertaining, and then hopefully there'll be a helpful answer. And it turned out that a fan of Joke Tellers Union, who would come every couple weeks, she worked at a barber place that had just cleared, the mandate had just started to allow beard trims, and so we reached out and we connected and had a great time. And she wore a mask and a visor, and at one point had to take a breather because it was a lot of work. And
that's a lot of beard, you guys.
Yeah. Well, she just sort of trimmed it, and then here, I'll get it, and just just there. So, mwah, mwah. There we go. So.
Oh, Emmett.
Yeah. There was a barbecue place right down the block, so I got all this awful barbecue to go because I'm like, let's sauce this beard up, this new beard. Let's take
break her in.
Yup.
Yeah, take it for a ride. So
right, show it off a little bit.
Wait, did you roll up and sit down next to another guy with a huge beard at the barbecue place and just share a knowing nod? We're about to mess these beards up.
Yeah.
Do you ever do a beard flip, like people do hair flips?
Oh, beautiful.
Well, at the show I did just this Friday, because I was in a mask for hours because we had to go and figure out the tech. What is exciting right now is nobody's good at anything right now. We're all learning how to do stuff. And so I was wearing this mask forever, and I noticed during the dress rehearsal, the tech run through, that my beard, because it gets all bunched up in there, right? So I ended up having to take my mask off and then comb my beard out. And that's how I open my set, because to maximize the protection. But
just very avant-garde, just combing a beard.
Yeah. Well, you just gotta. Yeah.
You got another tweet,
I got
Vanessa?
another one. All right. I need the quarantine to end so that I can finally get the personal trainer who lives in the apartment above us to open this jar of pickles.
Okay. I'm actually going to stop you there, because my next one was going to be a tweet that says Tinder, but instead of hookups, it matches this jar of pickles that has been in my house for months with someone strong enough to open it.
I also had that one.
I'm noticing a trend, Emmett. You've got like 8.
I have been tweeting,
what is this jar of pickles?
I've been tweeting about this pickle jar for fucking ever. In fact, here, so people think it's a monster. I'll be right back.
Bring us the pickles. I want to see the pickle jar.
I even have another one about the pickles.
Yeah, no, I think it was like 8.
Right, I was like,
I'm so curious. That's so funny. I was definitely getting into that.
For real, like, we're gonna have to buy Emmett a gripper for Christmas.
Oh, there it
Okay,
is.
so here, this thing is fucking giant, right?
It's a big jar.
It's real big. It's real wide too. Robert Pitty's mom, Tammy, actually sent me, because occasionally I'll tweet about this problem, sent me a device that just can't handle the lid. And this is another thing too, that I get so much advice on, because I was actually thinking, I think I'm going to post and have people meet me at Volunteer Park next Sunday. And socially distanced, and see if I can get some local strongmen to try to open this.
Like the Sorcerer's Stone. Like,
Who
whoever
he
can
should
open
get?
it.
He should get Jesse.
Jesse, yeah. Jesse
Warren
will definitely open that bottle.
Man.
He's built an entire personality around being able to open jars, apparently. So
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
feels very strongly about jars and opening them. We learned that from his episode.
For real.
Yeah, but I mean, this is.
Yeah, you need to contact Jesse ASAP. He'll probably drive to you.
Yeah, no, he'll find you. He'll run there.
He'll come. He's like 20 miles. I got this.
Yeah, be a perfect warm up to open that pickle jar. I'll get momentum.
He does like 10 push-ups outside the door.
Yeah, occasionally I'll scroll through my Twitter feed or Instagram or something, and also to kind of just see where my head was at months ago or whatever. And also sometimes there's really kind of beautiful throwaway ideas that maybe you've subconsciously digested more, and so there's room for jokes. And then I'm like, oh, there's a theme here, and that of course is my pickles.
It's just the pickle
It
jar.
really is.
It shows up. And it's also, I mean, since it's been the same jar since the pandemic, but I mean, I've had this problem before. There's some easy jars, and so there's hard jars. So I think it's been quite some time. My nemesis, the pickle jar, will show up.
No, I like it, man. It's it's like the albatross around your neck, for the entire pandemic. You're just carrying this pickle jar around,
and it's huge too. So it's like. I was thinking it was like a regular size jar of pickles, but
yeah, no, it is a monster. Yeah, it is. It is.
It's a big.
Let's see how much pickles are in here. Yeah, we're looking at 80 fluid ounces.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of pickles.
Yeah. Well, it's these kosher dills are just
Yeah, dang on kosher dills.
I wasn't really a candy kid, not really into the sweets.
Were you a pickle kid?
I've always loved pickles. And so much that my best friend's mom, Marlene Krasmowski, every Halloween, she'd have a giant pickle for me that she would give.
That's so sweet.
Right? That is
Yeah.
nice. My mom would never.
I'm glad they didn't like chase you out of town for being the weird pickle kid.
Oh well,
right? Like this fool and his pickles.
Kind of. I mean, that story is truer. Yeah, that's eventually what happened.
It happened eventually.
After you ask everybody in the town to open your jar.
Hey.
Okay, I think it's my turn.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Emmett, I got a tweet. If the American dream is the one where all of our teeth start to fall out and we realize that we showed up to work without pants, then a lot of us are killing it right now.
Yeah, I mean, I was just, looking at my friend's situation and thinking about mine, and then I realized, like, we're here. A lot of it comes from the fact that, I've always had a lot of really heavy nightmares. I nightmare pretty hard.
Is that a pickle thing?
Is it pickle related?
But I would wake up, and you'd wake up and you'd be like, oh, okay. You'd enjoy a nightmare because they're interesting and you have all this, but your wife has a face. Like, things are normal when you wake up, right?
Yeah.
But now it's harder, right? Because when you wake up, you're almost like, oh, I wish that nightmare would have lasted longer, because there's real life horror and strangeness and reality is breaking. And so I was just thinking about, like, we are kind of in this waking dream state. And then, so that's sort of where that came from. Yeah,
I guess that hit me harder now that you've actually explained it. I'm realizing that I've done the same thing, where it's like, let's snooze and enjoy this nightmare a little longer.
Right? Like, I'd rather just dream.
Yeah, at least in this nightmare, I'm on stage without pants on, but I'm still in front of an audience.
Right?
You know what I mean?
People are together in this nightmare.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually got like a related teeth tweet.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. It goes like this. Sometimes you forget that your wife has a degree in forensics, and then she turns to you and says, "Lye is really good for dissolving human teeth," with the same smile that you fell in love with. And I feel like that's like, we got funny and sad, but that's a little scary.
Yeah. So Kate actually has a master's in criminology. That kind of during the first, the most recent recession, before we start this new one that's ranking up, a lot of the public health jobs went away. And so when she was ready to go into kind of the medical examiner field, the jobs weren't there. And so she went other places. But when we first started dating, she was an autopsy tech. And occasionally I'll forget that she has actually held human hearts in her hand, and then then she'll just say something like that, and it's real sweet. What was it the other day she said? Oh yeah, she brought up, because we were watching TV and they brought up autoerotic asphyxiation, and I'm like, oh, is that, like, how rare is that? And she's like, oh, it's much more common than you think, especially in Seattle. So,
whoa.
So you think
too real.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting. My little sister is a speech pathologist, and I always just thought it was adorable because she had a speech impediment when she was a kid. So, it was kind of beautiful that she grew up to help people who also had the same issue. But I did not realize that her getting her master's in that meant that she would be dealing with cadavers and stuff like that. So she's sending me these Snapchats, and I'm just like, oh, that's my little sister. Get away from that.
Wait,
what are you doing?
She's a speech pathologist or medical pathologist?
Speech pathologist. but I think it's tied in. Her degree is tied in with all kinds of like mouth and throat issues and diseases and stuff like that.
Yeah, makes sense.
Oh, okay. So she can actually go. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's. But there's been, when Kate and I first started dating, I mean, some of the wooing she threw at me was, facts about how she knows how to get rid of a body. And actually, at our wedding,
She got rid of a body?
No.
She was like, you weren't invited.
No. We had several of the folks, of the pathologists and medical examiners, who were responsible for catching the Green River Killer.
Oh, wow.
Because she had worked under those folks. So, yeah. And here's a fun fact before we move on. So in the Pacific Northwest, you do not want to bury a body because of the richness of the soil. It will preserve it, right? And that was where Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, actually went. One of the ways he went wrong is because he buried these sex workers who, were pretty much unknown, and because of police attitudes, they weren't looking for them. But he put them in the ground where the evidence was preserved, and then kept on going back. Where in fact, what you want to do is find a logging trail. Now, because of fire season and everything, not the best, but you drop off a body in the forest, and within 24 hours, it'll become unrecognizable because of the moisture, the mildew, and the insects. In fact, because of all the insect activity, they wouldn't even be able to figure out what type of crime it is, because insects will get in there and move clothes around, so you don't know if like shirts were unbuttoned, it's yeah. So what I'm saying, is I love my wife.
Yeah, that's all been very terrifying. Thank you.
Like, I don't think I can look at Kate the same.
No, this is going to be a long cut when I get the editing room. Sorry.
Like, wait, what?
I just don't want this information to get out. I'm comfortable with Kate knowing that, but I don't want to be putting this out on the internet.
I mean,
it's on the internet.
If it can help
already.
somebody. I'm just
It's called infotainment, right?
Infotainment, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so.
You want to educate and entertain. So edutain.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that was
I'm going to pull us out
fact.
of the hole that you two got in. I'm not taking partnership of that. That was you two specifically got us down the murder hole. I'm going to pull us out.
I'll do it.
And I'm going to
be responsible.
I'm going to just lighthearted, beautiful tweet you had, Emmett. You said, what if pudding has been a progressive verb this whole time and we have all just forgotten what it means to pud?
Were you eating pudding when you...
No, I haven't had pudding or been pudding adjacent for quite some time.
Oh, he hasn't even been adjacent to it.
After the Bill Cosby thing, I was just like,
Well, just in general, I grew up, I was growing up Mormon, Jell-O was pretty pervasive because it's a big, it's a cheap dessert that you can feed a lot of people with. And so, it's like I've never thought, oh, pudding, a pile of stuff for, I'm not really a sweets kid. I think I was just thinking of just how porridge was such an interesting word, like
porridge.
And I was just like, because it feels like it's the remnants of something that's been poured. And then I started thinking of other words that seemed, and pudding came up, and it's just, thinking of just what if, how language is fluid. And so just what does to pud mean? And it was just this, sometimes you just get like a fun little joyous joke. And I think that, it was, I think, one of the first jokes I had tweeted in a while that, not like, I mean, you'd seen the feed, but in the middle of all of this stuff that is happening. So, but just, just put away. I think too the pud would be both something like a little sort of innocently raunchy, right? You know.
Well, I know pud is a euphemism for a penis. I've heard that before.
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah.
Yeah, and some people kind of went that way, like pull it. But I'm like pudding is a verb though.
No,
right?
it's different.
So
It's pud, not pud. It's pud.
You put it, yeah. And so,
What does that mean? Like, what would that mean?
who knows? I think, well, maybe it was part of just like, because pudding's been around forever. And so you just kind of look at like, you know, this lost, and now it's commercialized. You know, we're not getting the night. There's no pudding craftsmen out there, no pudding masters, right? And so maybe, there we go. I was getting maybe just that lost art of the pud. The way to pud has
been lost.
The way
it
of
was
the
a
pud.
kinder world, you know, back when we used to make things with our hands and our hearts.
Mm-hmm.
When we would pud.
That's when we pudded.
Yes.
Do you have another tweet, Vanessa?
Yeah, I got one more.
Okay, cool.
Just got my flu shot, and the nanobots are already making me feel less lonely.
I just like the idea of, you know, some people don't want to get sick, but I just want the government to know where I am. You know, I'm just doing my due diligence as a good citizen, you know.
You just walk outside a couple times a day and just wave at the sky. You know, like, it's got to be a satellite up there. Hey.
Which is, the previous arc was that it was for the government tracking device, but then since the current administration, especially what's going on now, it's an Antifa thing. You know, it's becoming friend. You know, it was tying into Bill Gates, and so yeah. You know, it's just the other thing. I like to get really upset about daylight savings on Twitter. You know, be like, what are they doing with the hour? Yeah, sure, they're going to give it back to us in the fall, but is it going to be the same? I don't trust it. You know.
Yeah.
I think there was a state who like did away with daylight savings, and they're just like
Arizona doesn't have it. So
okay, yeah.
I mean, it's state by state, and it's a hotbed. It's an interesting issue. And now that time doesn't exist at all, I mean...
What's real anymore?
Yeah, doesn't matter. So
Nothing matters.
yeah.
All right, I think I've got our last tweet here. And this is a perfect one to end it on. Emmett, you tweeted, "I just farted, and it activated Siri, and it was a strange and beautiful midnight miracle. Today was hard, but it got a little softer now that I know my butt has the ability to sing songs that wake up robots."
You know, that really was actually a gorgeous moment.
Yeah, I'm agreeing.
Yeah,
Was it?
I was... No, I was having a real bad brain day. A lot of rough stuff had happened. I think all of us have to deal with hard questions and figuring out, because none of us had a plan for how to kind of weather through this. And especially, I mean, you know, the thing that we've worked so hard at doing well has just went away, right? And how do we translate comedy into new ways? And, you know, we're doing it. We're figuring it out. I made a bunch of puppets and put them on Instagram because I'm a hero. But I really was lying in the dark next to my wife and my dog, you know, and just feeling like the only thing in the world that was awake, and feeling like so lonely. Like, well, maybe I could watch something or try some writing. But I didn't know where my iPad was, and I was just feeling just swamped. And then I moved. I did that move, and I farted. And Siri goes, "I'm sorry, I didn't get that." And it felt, and I know that like it was a combination. It was a 1 in a million chance for just the right sound pattern to happen and vibration for me to move a certain way, and for it. But it really felt like, if you look at kind of the language of chaos, that like communication is still happening even if there's not conscious thought. And it was just this sort of mathematical miracle. and it helped me find my iPad, and it was just in general. And then I woke, and I remember there was ice cream in the fridge, and then it turned into kind of a really sort of beautiful, sort of quiet hour. And then what was interesting too is because I put that out there, you know, I put it online at this point, and then people who were also up and kind of alone, it started some you know, it was just this sort of invisible signal for help made visible.
Farts are magic.
So,
You know,
I
I never
agree.
thought about them that way, but yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, it's just.
well, I mean, if you look at what a fart is, it's I think it's like the first music. You know, it's this meat song, and I think that there's some real sort of primal magic from there because we fart because we are processing. You know, we've destroyed life, and it makes us live longer. And so the remnants of that, the ghosts of our meals and our conquests, sometimes come out our butthole with hilarious results.
Yeah, every time I fart, what I do is I hold up one of those little tuner things and I try to blow a note similar to what the fart was.
Well, I mean, they talk about snowflakes, but for me, it's really like farts because each fart is like its own
Unique
fucking song. But it really was that sort of, you know, infinite monkeys with infinite typewriters. You know, and for me, if the monkey on the typewriter was my butt, it finally wrote the complete works of Shakespeare by activating Siri.
Figured it out. That little butt monkey finally got down to the bottom of it.
And I mean, even just talking about this sort of this miracle, this joyous moment, it lightens the heart. I'm very, I feel fortunate that I was able to witness at you know, and if you really look at it, if you want to look at it biblically,
Because why wouldn't we?
you know, especially, you know, you'll have like a prophet or a saint or somebody who's been touched by the divine. It's not like they're just hanging out with God all the time, right? Or they see heaven all the time. It's usually they just get one glimpse, and then for the rest of their life, they become a seeker, maybe trying to carry that understanding and maybe that little flash of purity they got in their heart. And so that's how I feel about that night that I farted and activated Siri.
Way to wrap it up and put a bow right on top of it. That was
I've never
perfect.
like heard a fart talked about more beautifully in my life.
I'm tearing up, man. I'm tearing up. This
like,
is,
oh, is that?
I get that a lot. So.
yeah. All right. Well, Emmett, thank you so much. Is there anything you want to promote when we throw this up? We can. Do you want to promote the Clock Out Lounge or anything like that?
Joke teller.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're still doing our shows. Brett and I are still doing Joke Tellers Union. What we're doing is we're putting together a show, and then we drop along with archival footage from past shows, and then, you know, new stuff, and trying to figure out, you know, how to do comedy. We do a complete show, and then we drop it at 8:30 on Wednesday, which is when it would have happened at the Clock Out on the Joke Tellers Union Facebook page. And then we're just sort of figuring out the technology and stuff like that. We'll probably start doing it on Instagram as well. And then, you know, the Magic Hat is still happening. In fact, the month of October is Halloween, and we're doing real dumb stuff. And I've just moved to Zoom. It used to be on another software, and they can find that at the Instagram, either my Instagram, which is Emmett Montgomery. It took me a while to remember that. Or the Magic Hat's Instagram is the Magic Hat is Magic. And I'm also in the middle of something called Drawloween or Inktober, where a bunch of people on Instagram, there is like various prompts and everyone's doing a drawing a day, but I'm doing it with paper bag puppets. In fact, the prompt today was poison. I originally was planning on making a spider puppet, but then I started thinking of other things that were poisonous. So I have this here. I'm gonna get out of space real quick.
Oh, you gonna come back to Earth for us?
Well, let's see. Here's the clock out. So it is.
It's a little poison mushroom.
Go. It's a here. Okay, I guess you can see my house. There we go. This is going very smooth. There we go. So nice. There we go. So this is my mushroom spider. Just trying to keep doing things. Obviously, I'm on Twitter, probably.
Yeah. Clearly.
And then still doing, trying to do all sorts of shows from my bedroom. So.
What can you do?
Aren't we all?
Right.
Oh, yeah. I also have a storytelling show that I'm doing through Northwest Film Forum, a strange storytelling hour. That's been super cool. And it's and that will be happening some Thursdays. We just did a series of 3, and then I'm being part of this big horror film festival, and then it's going to be a monthly show starting in November. So I'm doing stuff so people can, they really want to be nerds, could actually see me 5 times a month in their home, plus whatever dumb shit I'm doing.
Well, there you go, everybody. See Emmett
my
5
plugs
times
are
a month.
as long as the whole interview. So
well, thank you so much for sitting down and doing the show with us, Emmett.
It was beautiful to see both you guys.
Yeah, it was great to see you too. I miss you, man.
Yeah.
Right? We don't have our beef anymore. Like,
well, it was every other day, right? It was.
Yeah. Like I think it was like 6 days a week except for Wednesdays.